Hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome. I had several images come to me for our possibility of exploring today. And I wanted to just start by sharing with you the overall purpose of gathering, which we've been doing for 4 years now, every week, is to experience the nourishment of attention. And is one of the gifts we can give ourselves and that we can give others. That's so simple, but also so complex and profound, to be able to open your receptivity to actually absorbing attention, and also being able to use your attention in all kinds of different ways, to both give and receive. And the image that was coming to me, I come from the cursive generation, one of the cursive generations, and that means that I draw with rather than do stick figures with my pen. And I always admired my grandmother, whose writing was very, very hard to read, but she wrote with a fountain pen. And I loved, even though I'm left-handed, I loved the flow of the fountain pen, the different colors of the ink that I could choose, but also watching it absorb. And one time, my pen, I left it somewhere, and I came back, and it had, so there was a tissue there, and the ink had made its way into the tissue. It had absorbed and actually made this kind of amazing picture, from the ink just permeating. And what it was reminding me of is whether you let your attention soak in, whether you let it saturate. And I wanted to invite you to notice any place in you that feels dry or a little contracted or a little distant from you. And I'd like you to imagine your attention is like that saturated ink that will just, if you even touch, it's going to spread out. And so I'd like you to just notice and give that kind of attention to some place in you. Like, for example, for me, just below my shoulder blades, it's feeling a little, it's a little jaggedy. And so I'm going to let my attention move around in there and letting it absorb. So what can you do with your breath or your movement to let that attention really saturate that area of you? And spreading out very, very effortlessly. So a lot of times we have, giving and receiving of attention has to involve effort. So what if it didn't have to involve effort at all? It could just be like you're writing with your attention, and it saturates because of the flow of and meeting whatever is wanting to be saturated. And I'd like you to now look out at either people on the call, or looking out, if you're not on the call and watching this later, I'd like you to look out in your environment and notice anything that looks like it could just use a little bit of attention, and letting your attention flow toward that, and staying there long enough to kind of write on it in cursive, or making little hearts on it with your attention love ink, and letting that absorb. And I find that when I do that, it immediately affects my breathing. I find my breathing slowing down. I find a little pause at the end of the out breath, that which is very refreshing. And then it also gives me a kind of pacing for moving my attention. And when I let it both be slow and saturating, there's a kind of nourishment that provides. So I'd like you to now shift your attention. So you can let your attention go through your eyes, but you can also let your attention go through your sensing. So when you sense into you, notice how you do that. Do you do that through feeling into or through listening to yourself? And finding another place that could use a little saturation of loving attention. So I'm also feeling into my sacrum. It's feeling pretty good, but I'd like to give a little preventive medicine to my sacrum because it likes to get a little gritchy. So if you've got any gritchy places in you, letting that your attention saturate and then noticing how your body wants to respond to that. I almost always feel some kind of movement, and it's a different kind of movement than going and doing and being in life. It's more of a being with myself and feeling into a kind of how are you? How's it going? And giving my attention, and then letting my attention go out either into people on the call, especially somebody that you don't know, and letting your attention kind of saturate the area around them, or letting it spread out to just welcome them even more. We're having a whole bunch of planting done. And so when I look out at my yard, I feel this uprising of very excited energy because I've got newness, but also clearing away the old. So notice if your attention, like when you give attention to any area that feels glitchy, say, for example, your shoulders. And when you give attention, I'd like you to notice if it also creates space in that any kind of denseness or what I'm calling gritchiness, what other people might call tight, but it could be tight in so many different ways. Notice if that opens up at all, has a sense of clearing the debris. I think this is a great time for us to clear debris of all kinds in our lives. And why not do that with your love and attention? Rather than with conflict and drama. So letting those melt away, which brings me to our card for today, which I'd love for you to look at. This card I picked by spreading out all of the cards and closing my eyes and just feeling into, and this is the card that I felt into. And when I was reflecting, because I did that before I got this image of saturating, and I thought, oh, how perfect, because notice when you look at this, it feels melty for sure. And just notice if you applied that, like the melting ice cream to your own body, what one is wanting to be melted. And I love it how there's a sense of holding, but also melting. So we have the hand holding the ice cream, but then there's also the ice cream melting. So as you're looking at that, let me just read to you. This is a fear melter. And this seems like a good time for us to be focusing on fear melters. I can shift easily from the tight, quick, puffed up fight stance to oozing, like seaweed swaying in water, or hot fudge melting over ice cream, or ice cream melting over your hand, or the melting feeling when something that's felt kind of, cold and stuck and frozen in you starts to melt. That melty feeling can be quite delicious in your mouth, but also in your body in general. So let me just read it once more and let yourself notice any fighty energy in you today. There's a lot of cause for fight in the world right now. And fight, we forget, is actually fear. It's not going to really change anything if we go like, let's fight back. What will change is if we can melt so that we can give and receive attention that allows us to connect. So here it is once more. I can shift easily from the tight, quick, puffed up fight stance to oozing. Even you can try that on in your mouth. Oozing, I'm oozing. And notice how oozing, I think the word is even onomatopoetic. It explains itself. I can shift to oozing, like seaweed swaying in water, or hot fudge melting over ice cream. So notice if there's anything else in you that you would like to melt. And I'd like to invite you to send melting energy to anyone or anything out there in the world that you're experiencing as fighty, and letting that oozing be another kind of saturating for you. Yeah, beautiful. And let's come on back to the group. So take a moment to just notice the effect of playing with saturating your attention and playing with oozing. And the invitation, we do this as a practice, but the invitation is to continue the practice whenever you think of it throughout the week. And you may only think of it a couple of times, so that's great to let yourself then go, oh, how can I let my attention shift and saturate with that kind of oozy, melty quality, and then coming back to me and saturating. And you may notice also that it allows you to shift out of quick, go, go, quick, quick, urgent, urgent into more spaciousness, moving from time into space. Allows us to presence ourselves and to get out of that man-made, mad-made urgency that of adrenaline. And then new solutions can occur, new ways of connecting can occur. So let's also play with our Presence Connect play for today. And I also want to invite you to have the Presence Connect play app as a resource for you to also help you to shift from any kind of a adrenalized state that you find yourself in. And when you combine the three of them for exploring something or resolving something, they can be very effective bringing your body intelligence so that your brain has more to work with. So here's presence. Get curious with So the is my all-purpose shift move from into curiosity. So especially if I'm feeling critical or judgmental or scared, the literally letting the through your throat, that allows you to enjoy that saturation, that melty quality, also for your brain, because allows you to shift from your critical brain into your wonder brain. So, and let yourself invent a wonder question. I wonder how I can, meet the challenges right now with presence. Wonder how I could create a new way of relating to this issue. But the really important to have the And even if you just and get curious, that's going to begin to break up any old patterns you have about working hard and pushing through, and letting presence really support you. And then connect is, oh, I love this one. Appreciate everyone as a work of art. I really love that works of art are all different. And a really wonderful work of art is not sitting there thinking, God, I wish I looked more like a Picasso, or, oh, I want to be less chunky. I want to be. So, whatever work of art you are, take a moment to genuinely appreciate yourself. Because I know, like, what are you improving right now? Like, what are you working on with yourself? I have this issue, but I'm working on it. So I'd like you to notice what you're working on and what it feels like to you to work on yourself. So work on yourself for a moment, like, stand up straighter, or suck that stomach in, or is that all you accomplished yesterday? Those kinds of things that you say to yourself. And then I'd like you to shift to, I'm an evolving work of art. I'm an evolving work of art. And first, notice if you're willing to absorb that, if you're willing to let that saturate through you. Or if there's a bounce off, oh no, not me, other people, but no, I need much more of improvement before I can be a work of art. And so notice any little thing in you that you've judged. Like I was just thinking of a couple of months ago, I jammed something with my finger in just the right way that it did this to my finger. And so I have a little crook in my finger now. And so I occasionally I look down and I have a judgmental feeling toward it. But now this is part of my work of art. When you see trees that have been growing over a long period of time and what they've done in order to continue existing, we all have that, integrating, oh, here's the latest flourish of my work of art. So, would you be willing to see others as evolving works of art? And for some people, that might be challenging. For some people in your life, for some people that you can think of, that may be challenging. So, you may need to do some oozing, but just see if you would be willing to see others, especially those that are close to you, as evolving works of art rather than your little fixer-uppers, because you know better. The things like, if they would only do it the way I do it. So evolving works of art. Oh, and then play. And this may not seem associated with play, but play is let go. Let go of an idea, a thought, an issue. So let's just take a look at letting go of any part of you that you don't think is an evolving work of art. So it could be something physical, could be thoughts, it could be a belief that you have about yourself. And first, I'd like you to hold on to it. Notice what it is like to hold on to it. Like, this is never, my finger's never going to get fixed. Holding on to that. And then I'd like you to literally sort of grab it and hold on to it. So the idea or the belief, I'd like you to literally grab onto it and hold on to it. And then see if you'd be willing to just go poof and let go. That maybe on an out breath, the and let yourself experiment for a moment with your friendly letting go motions. So I consider the ooze a kind of a letting go, because I'm letting it melt off. It may be a whew. So let yourself experiment with big and little letting go moves. And when I let go, then I open space for the next thing. Rather than holding on, I get all piled up with old stuff. So, letting go in service of play. Because every time you're playing, like when you're tossing, you let go of the ball, and you can't play until you let go of the ball. So letting go, there's also, the Zen saying of, a full cup can't be filled. So emptying the cup is also letting go. And so letting go is really an important part of play. So we have presence, connect, play, and we have saturating, and we have oozing, all to assist us in getting melty at a time where I know a lot of us are feeling more like, sort of holding our breath until November 6th. And so, and oozing, when you have that come up, oozing, letting go, appreciating how could what's going on right now be a work of art. So I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to be taking my leave, and please stay and share with each other as long as you like. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Mwah. Take care.